As I promised last time, no electronics. This is a start of the scenery. Now the first thing I needed to do was produce the back scene that's going to hide most of the sector plate. And I have here my take on it, which is just some 2mm MDF braced with some 19 by 19mm, and that now sits there like that. I'll just hold it in place with some clamps to start with, just to stop it sliding forwards. It will eventually be fixed solidly, but before I do that, what I need to do is wire up the last camera, and it will be easier to do that without that in place, getting in my way. But ultimately it will actually be fixed in place and not removable. Unfortunately, I've ended up with a large hole, as you can see, where the sector plate has to turn and be able to get to its most forward point, and it comes through that back scene. Now the position of the back scene was a compromise between not wanting to have this little bit of canal section here too narrow, and being able to hide the sector plate as it moves. So what I've decided to do is use a warehouse. The warehouse will come along here, here, then set back and run all the way to the wall. Obviously any windows in this part of the warehouse will have to be blacked out so that you can't see, but the rest of it can have interior detail and can be lit, which is what I should be doing. There will also be a wagon turntable here with a track that actually disappears off into the warehouse there, and the track will also continue into another building here. The next thing I've started on is the work to produce the disused railway bridge that runs across here all the way from back to front, and I'll show you my progress on that next. Okay, the design for my brick viaduct is going to be based upon this scale scenes kit. This is the one that originally came free with the May 2010 issue of Hornby magazine. It is now available on Scale Scenes as a bona fide kit, and I'm using this as a guide to sizes and dimensions in various places. I built it once before for my other layout some years ago, and I built it in card and used the textured brick paper that came with the kit. This time I intend to build it using foam board, plastic card and embossed plastic card. The first piece I built was this, which is the track bed for the disused railway running across the top, and it runs from the back of the board to the front of the board. I had to make it in several sections, and I had to join it together on the back, and there was my first problem. Never having used foam board before, what do you stick it together with? I tried Yoo-hoo, not very successful. I tried PVA, totally unsuccessful. I tried rocket card glue, another type of PVA, again totally unsuccessful. In the end I used something that I would never have thought would have glued this foam board, and that is super glue. I used the deluxe material Rocket Max thick super glue, and it's brilliant. It's almost instant and very strong. Okay, having got the roadbed, the upper roadbed, I laid it where I need it on the railway and marked out where all the tracks come. And that's this line here and this line here is the canal siding. This line here and this line here, and this line here and here are the two tracks that come from the sector plate down here. and I didn't actually mark these tracks, but I marked where I needed the cuts to let the two hidden tracks through at the back. Having marked on the ends where all these come, I then projected lines across, created a centre line, and from that centre line worked out where the wing walls needed to come. Sorry, not the wing walls, the walls that hold the bridge up. Here and here, those I marked anyway, and here and here. These two are going to be very much like the scale scenes buildings with the arched top to the bridge. I had intended this one also to be a wider version, but I didn't want the track to run through the centre, which meant that I would have to make it very high for the clearances to be right at the edge. So what I decided to do instead was cut it out here and make some girders to go in there, and I've used Will's Vari girder and a little bit of Plastruct to just add some interest to it, and they will sit in there and there ultimately. Adds a little bit of interest, makes it slightly different. I think it will look okay. Having got that, I then made the sides, which are here. We have two sides. This is the side that goes nearest to the sector plate. The hidden tracks go through there, the two tracks from the sector plate that come into the visible scene go there, and this piece goes here, the other side of the canal siding, and this is the front piece, similarly with the hole for the two tracks that come from the sector plate for the hidden sidings, the two tracks that come from the sector plate out into the scenic area, and the end that allows the canal siding to come through. I also cut lots of these, which will be used like this to strengthen it all the way along. So I'll go away and put it together. I've now assembled all the parts that you saw, and it's come out reasonably well. I have one or two problems. It's really quite good around here where I've got the minimum clearances that I wanted to achieve, so that these holes are quite small and it's difficult to catch a glimpse of the sector plate through the arches. I've got a little problem here still to sort out where these go, because that one's far too tight and I haven't yet worked out what height they need to be. I want the top of the girder to be approximately the same height as the parapet walls, but I don't know what that is yet. I haven't looked back at the plans. I have a little problem here where this piece of material hasn't been cut at the right angle, so therefore it's not in a straight line with this piece. So it looks like a bit of filler needed there, and I need to fill this end in here, and to produce something that's level like that. After I've done those few little finishing touches, I then need to add the detail, and the detail that I intend to add is embossed brick plasticard, rather like this stuff. It'll be in English bond, and there's my next problem. I have to work out how to stick plasticard to foam. It seems that sticking to foam, the only luck I've had is with super glue. But I know plasticard does not glue with super glue, it just peels straight off. But what I have found is this product, which is another Deluxe Materials product called Tricky Stick, which is a surface preparation. It's not actually an adhesive, and it allows you to coat the back of your plasticard with the Tricky Stick. You then allow it to dry, and then allegedly cyanoacrylate adhesives, i.e. super glues, will stick. And here's what I tried, and sure enough it is quite difficult to get off. I didn't do that end. It is quite difficult to get off. So I think I'm fairly happy that that will work. The super glue that I used is this one, which is Deluxe Materials Rapid. It's their intermediate super glue. I didn't want to use their super thin super glue because that goes absolutely everywhere. It will probably still be migrating now after I did that about half an hour ago. But that one seems to be the answer. However, sticking this embossed plastic brick material, on with super glue is not going to be easy because you've got to get it accurate. It's no good sticking it at an angle like this. It's got to be stuck parallel, and you only get one chance with super glue. So what I've decided to do is where the bricks have got to go, I'm going to coat the whole of the foam board in 10mm thick plastic card first. Then I can use the normal plastic adhesives like liquid poly to stick the brickwork on. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes, and I'll be back to show you the next step. Well, that part of the build took a lot longer than I expected it to. The first job of laminating the foam board with 20 thou plastic card stuck on with super glue was a particularly nasty and smelly and sticky job, which is rather turning me off the use of foam board for the future projects. Anyway, I managed it, and I have now also used the 20 thou thick brick plastic card like this. See the bricks in that, I hope. And I've laminated over the top of that to get the structure as you see it now. I've also around here cut out some special pieces that I had to make myself from 20 thou plastic card, which have had to be scribed with approximately the right brick pattern, which you can't buy. Well, if you can, I've never found any. So I've had to make those from scratch. I've also had to learn how to do the corners in plastic card, like down here. And I've actually used Jeff Taylor's method of scraping. So you make a butt joint and then you scrape the joint back, and amazingly the scraping action of the knife, using one of these, that scraping action like that produces an extension of the brickwork across the end of the butt joint. But it wasn't without its problems, and this joint here went particularly wrong. So I have managed to resurrect it with a bit of filler and a bit more scraping, but we'll just have to assume that that piece has been damaged by an errant load dropping off a wagon or a heavy shunt and a derailment. It's not as bad as it looks at the moment. It's got filler and all sorts on it. Okay, the next job is to make all the buttresses, which go up all the sides here and at regular intervals along here. And to do that, I've realised that I need some more material. I need some other sections of plastic onto which I can stick my bricks. So really, for this video, that's about as far as I'm going to get. I'll continue this build in the next video once I've ordered and obtained my new sections. So, thanks very much for watching, and hopefully next time won't be too far away and we'll see a much more completed viaduct. Thanks again. Bye.